All right, how are you enjoying the conference?
It's been fantastic. It's great to see so many of your customers here, and they're really excited, I can tell from all the conversations I'm having.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we really appreciate you joining us. Why don't we start for the audience, those that don't know you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, and some of the things that you're doing at Apple right now?
Sure. Well, you can probably tell from the accent, I'm from a little south of here. Born in Australia, raised there. I've only ever worked at 3 organisations. I worked at the Central Bank of Australia, like the Fed Reserve. I worked then at a company called Reuters, all in the financial markets, and then I joined Apple almost 15 years ago. It was a little tougher then, but obviously things are good now, and my job was really to come over and help formulate a new strategy for Apple to take us really into the business market. We wanted to help customers realize their goals of unlocking your value in your business with mobility mainly. So for the last 3 years, we've been putting together a global team and a global strategy, and we're really just starting to get activated in that marketplace, and it's really good to be here to talk to everyone today.
That's awesome. And Matt, most people probably not everyone thinks Apple Enterprise. I think you could probably tell me the stat, but 90% of the audience might have a device on them, which is Apple, as a consumer, and we spoke about that today. And so you've announced quite a few enterprise partnerships recently. And we'd, I think, all be interested in understanding a little bit more about what is that overarching vision? What's the motivation behind Apple getting into enterprise, and what does it mean?
Yeah, well, our main mission in life has always been to create products that people love and that really get inspired by those products. And when we think about how that journey has progressed, it's had a profound impact on our personal lives. But we also looked about 3 years ago and realized it wasn't having the same effect in our work lives, which is the majority of the time we spend in our day in, day out sort of progress in our whole kind of the time we're here. So what we decided to do was think about how we could be part of changing the way work gets done. And I think for us, we've got quite a significant amount of, I would say, penetration in the enterprise. Like you said, so many people in this room and so many people in enterprise use iPhones and iPads. But they're not really being used to their full potential. They're still being used for quite basic communication, basic workloads. They can be used for so much more. And so for us, partnering is all about building an ecosystem that can help our customers realize what you can really do with mobility in the business world. And just like we've been sort of talking, you've been talking a lot and at the conference, there's been a lot of talk about the platforms and the infrastructure and the power of technologies like IoT, like cloud, machine learning, artificial intelligence. But when it all boils down to it, we still have to interact with that technology.
We do.
It's all about the user experience. And so our foray into business has really been predicated on trying to help the end user be able to make sense, do their job better, interact with those technologies, but do it in a way that I think Apple's renowned for, which is doing it with an incredible user experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, going back to, I think as a consumer, we use Apple products every day, right? I'm literally getting buzzes on my watch right now. My 7-year-old daughter Chloe is over in Los Angeles, who has type 1 diabetes, and getting blood sugar alerts to my watch to let me know where she's right now. Profoundly changed my life, right? Not having to make phone calls and see what that looks like. Not possible a couple of years ago. As we think about that from an enterprise ecosystem, what are the benefits for the customers, I guess even the partners themselves, and what's different about being a partner or a customer from an Apple perspective?
Well, first of all, that experience you had is absolutely possible in the job that you do. We just haven't realized that yet. And I think that that's really what we've been trying to do by partnering with companies that are doing great work for business customers. And so partnering for us starts by being very particular, and we select our partners very wisely, because we know that there's no end to how many apps you can get access to, but how do you actually make the right choices? And so we've been selecting them very, very carefully. Secondly,
so this isn't iTunes. This isn't millions of apps sitting somewhere.
No, we want to create a more curated catalog for businesses. And even though the App Store itself changed the world, it's the democratization of software changed as a result of that. We wanted to do more with some partners, and so as we select them, we actually have engineering, design, development, some degree of those things in every partnership. Mm-hmm. The result is that they're creating much better apps, better experiences, they're just better products. And so the actual partnerships that we've created, whether they're being consulting for the very, very largest of companies, even with Cisco, it's about networking, but how do you make networking a better experience for the end user? All the way through to some of our mobility partners who help even the smallest business run their business, save time, be more efficient, and grow. Yep. And so through that, we now have a very, very, I would say, diverse portfolio, but we're super proud of it. And we're now starting to show our business customers who those partners are and how they can get value out of partnering or using them in their business.
Yeah, I think you use the word diverse, and understanding a little bit about your program. It includes some of the big names that we're all familiar with, right? And so I know you have Intuit, for example, on the program. But I think what's also exciting is and maybe we're biased being Australian, but you have some great little companies like ServiceMate.
Yeah.
Right. But how many people in this room has heard of an ISV called ServiceMate? I saw one hand go up, right? I didn't even know there was some from ServiceMate here today. Maybe just for a minute, talk about ServiceMate, what they do,
yep,
and how by leveraging this Apple program and iOS, it's actually changed not just how they operate as an ISV, but what it's meant for the partner community as well.
Yeah, well, what a great little company. They actually have some software and a platform that allows small businesses that have service as part of their core delivery to be able to dispatch jobs to the field and be able to get those jobs done much faster, dispatch them in a more meaningful, more rapid way. And then for the worker, they can actually accomplish their day-to-day tasks using technology to actually enhance that environment for them, enhance their day-to-day work experience. And that's a great example of what we do with our partners. So we actually established an enterprise design lab about 2.5 years ago. We originally put it together because IBM wanted us to help them become better developers of native iOS apps. And really, not being just unbiased for a second, they wanted to create better mobile apps. Sure. And so we helped them by putting together this design lab. Then we started to put our partners through the lab as part of our design relationship we were having with them. And ServiceMate's a great example where the app itself went from being usable mm-hmm. to being absolutely outstanding. Right. So much so, there were people on the App Store when they got the update that actually wrote comments saying, I thought I just purchased a new product.
Wow.
And so the result is their ratings on the store are incredible, customer experience, incredible. They're using all the modern APIs. The actual app itself runs faster. And all of that is part of that user experience I talked about. Yeah. When you've got somebody who is, and a great example, they've got a customer, they're a pool company, and they obviously a pool service, and they go out basically with ServiceMate and much more rapidly be able to service pools in a particular area. Small business that's just trying to be more efficient, trying to grow. And ServiceMate's a great example, and we've got lots of them. And obviously we're adding to the portfolio by filling in white space, but ultimately that's a great example of a partner of ours that's really doing great things. And customers are noticing it.
So, I mean, again, I think a great example of probably those employees at that pool company already probably had the device. And so now it's an opportunity for them just to use that same device that they were using and bring it into the workplace. So it's bringing that consumer world and the employee world together at the same time, leveraging what's available.
Yeah, and let me just talk about kind of the other spectrum.
Yeah.
So just a couple of weeks ago, we announced with IBM integration with Core ML, which is part of our developer environment. They are already delivering unbelievable value to customers using Core ML. I actually had an example of a customer who actually goes out and repairs large commercial buildings. And by using Watson and Core ML, so by actually using Watson and being able to pick up on trends and patterns, machine learning, the ability to use AR visualization, and I know I'm throwing out a lot of terms here, but this is basically what happened. A worker walks in, behind the walls, there's actually a leak, and they're able to use their iPhone to scan the walls, and using ML and Watson, they're able to see exactly what's behind the wall, where the problem is with an accuracy of 96%. Like, that is changing the way work gets done. And we're talking about somebody who you would never really have thought you were going to deliver technology to just 10 years ago. And yet today, that person is not going to be able to do their job in a few years' time without that mobile device. You know, pilots now, almost across the whole aviation industry, do not get that plane off the ground without an iPad. You've got nurses now who no longer can actually care for their patients in the same way without an iPhone. Like, this is the way in which we believe the future of technology for the worker is. And Richard, that's why we actually started this journey 3 years ago. Yeah. We knew we had to be part of it. Because you're right, you know, our foundation, our roots are in consumer, they always will be in consumer. But we are all workers as well. And Apple decided that we had to become a part of helping customers realize what you could do to unlock value. And so I'll just extend that a little bit.
Sure.
What we saw for the first 5 years of kind of development for mobile was that businesses were using almost all of their expertise in developing B2C apps. And you know them, you know, Delta, Citibank, Bank of America, Starbucks, incredible apps that they're delivering to their customers. But at the same time, they weren't developing for the worker, their employees. They were underserved. Well, I can tell you, Richard, that the big shift that we're seeing, that's changing. Right. Because in most industries, the most valuable commodity that they have are their workers. How does retail try to grow their business when you've got the likes of online digital companies like Amazon? How do retailers fight back? Well, you know how they fight back? With the differentiator, the bricks and mortar and that store associate. But for many, many years, every retailer has been spending all their technology dollars on ERP, omni-channel, going to online digital. And guess who they've never spent any money on? The store associate. Yep. And so that is changing. Almost every retailer that we speak to is in the process of investing in that store associate with things like endless aisle technology, so that if we haven't got it in stock, don't worry, I'll get it to your home. The ability to clientele. Richard, I know what you bought last time you came in. It's a beautiful blue jacket, but it could probably go with a beautiful blue tie. Now, these are the things that are going to differentiate in the future. And you can say that every industry right now, in some way, is under pressure. Yeah. And how are they going to get out of that scenario? They've got to invest in their people with technology. If you think about small business, the opportunity for them is also massive. think about the way in which a small business was able to get access to some of the most powerful back-end technology in the past.
Absolutely.
They couldn't buy SAP, they couldn't buy Oracle. What's changed is that all of a sudden cloud, software as a service, has actually allowed small business to finally have an affordable way, an easy way to be able to get access to just as powerful a technology. Another great Australian company, Deputy, they look after time and attendance for staff, clocking on, clocking off, aggregating that so that you've got your payroll system. That used to be reserved for the highest, the biggest companies with the biggest payroll to actually be able to pay SAP to be able to deliver that. Today, for $9.99 a person, a small business can deploy Deputy. And Deputy actually is being used by Qantas, one of the biggest airlines in the world, to do the same thing, the shift management of their crew. So my point is that for small business or the very largest of businesses, the opportunity to actually extract value out of your business with mobile, with this new user experience, UI, UX at the core of that, has never been easier. However, they haven't started doing it yet, and that's why we're super excited. We're super excited because that journey has just begun, and it is going to be incredibly profound that how many businesses will make that transition over the next decade. That's the exciting thing for Apple. And I believe it's the exciting thing for every single person in this room.
So I don't think there's probably anyone that disagrees with that opportunity that technology, mobility is bringing to both small business and big business. But what about the people in this room?
Yeah.
So we have probably a mixture of the ISVs in the world, the deputies of the world.
Yep.
And then we have the channel partners, small and large, that are taking products and solutions out to the market. So as visionary as this chat is, what does it mean for them? How can they work with Apple, with Ingram, us together? How does it all come together? How can they take advantage of this new opportunity, as you say?
Yeah, I think that for the first few years that we've been putting this plan together, we've had to almost trailblaze a little bit ourselves, right? We've had to go and make those partnerships. We had to go and knock on a few doors, but the momentum is starting to really pick up. And so the transition for us in the last 6 months is to work out how do we now scale that? How do we now work with the companies in this room who have got the great relationships out there, and how do we basically scale through those relationships? And that is what we're starting to do right now. So as we now start to package up and productize a lot of these solutions with our hardware to go with it, putting together very easy ways for people in this room to be able to talk about that with our customers, working with you guys at Ingram to get a lot of the ISVs integrated on Cloud Blue. That's the way in which we believe that everybody in this room can really participate. Apple people have been working with Ingram for decades. Yep. This relationship's not new. In fact, there's a couple of my colleagues here who can talk to people in the audience here if you want to talk to them about some of the programs we have today to become more integrated with Apple. But ultimately, the long-term vision is that we're investing to make sure that these people in the room with Apple can actually deliver this value to our customers. And we are investing. And so we've just embarked on one of the biggest investments that we've made in our sales, marketing, and in our engineering world around enterprise. We don't usually talk a lot about what we do, but what we're doing is we're hiring hundreds of people to help our customers, to help people in this room, to be able to deliver that value to customers. That's how passionate we are about our responsibility and our role in the journey that every customer needs to go on if they're going to grow and if they're going to get better.
Yeah. Well, I know I've personally had the luxury of seeing firsthand what's happening in the background there at Apple, and I'm super excited and impressed with the strategy and the commitment you're making, not just to the channel, but to that end consumer, that employee. So I know that we've already started conversations with many of our joint channel partners in how can we wrap this up for them to be able to take to the market, leveraging the program. And I think even it's been great for us from a Cloud Blue perspective and channel perspective to even start getting some of the insights about some of these exciting new ISVs, right? And how quickly and easily they can be integrated onto the Cloud Blue platform that then the channel out there can then take out, bundle, and take out to the end users. So it sounds like there's a massive opportunity out there for everyone in the audience to join that revolution with Apple, with Ingram Micro, and some exciting times ahead.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. And as we talk, and one of the things that we've bantered a lot over the years about where the marketplaces are and where they're going. And our vision is that those transformational type of apps and services that we've been partnering with, they've got to show up more on Cloud Blue. They're going to be more available to the people in this audience to sell, which means that they'll be more available for customers to actually use. And that's what we're dedicated to doing, to working with you guys to get more of those types of ISVs on that Cloud Blue marketplace. We're already started, and I think we're going to see more and more and more of it pretty rapidly.
Excellent. Well, I think we're both fired up.
We are, and it's a pleasure working with Ingram, and we are very, we're very, I think, honored in a lot of ways that this relationship has gone on for a long time, and it's been very fruitful for both of us. And I just want to thank you and everyone for having me here. And I want to make sure everybody knows that Apple is dedicated to helping the enterprise.
Excellent. Well, everyone, please join me in thanking Matt Brennan and the team at Apple.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. Thanks.